Talks about what?
Cecil Ravencourt. We are going to have a discussion.
How in 2022 somebody let that be published in a book is amazing.
Insane.
Wait, what did I miss?
The incredibly disgusting fat phobia. Like, why did he have to get described that way? It was so uncomfortable. Jesse said, when you're stuck in Ravencourt, I just want it out. And, it made me very uncomfortable.
I kept waiting for some kind of a shoe to drop of like, oh, the narrator is like a terrible person and this is just his biases coming out. But it never does. It's just treated as like, no, being fat is super disgusting, guys. And I was like, this is uncomfortable.
Okay. So, the 7.5 deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Takes up in... Maria, why don't you
Cecil Ravencourt.
My arguably favorite character.
Describe something about Cecil Ravencourt. Cecil Ravencourt is a friend of the Hardcastle family, and he happens to be a rather large guy. And instead of just being like, he was a big dude, he was plus size, the book bashes you over the head about how disgusting Ravencourt is. He smells, he eats disgustingly, he's ravenous. Every time food's around him, he's like there's a point where they're describing grease drip, and I was so grossed out and so disgusted. Literally, I have not been this angry with the description of a character like this.
See, Lost Friend said he could have just been portly. I don't know why he had to be so morbidly obese. Yeah, that struck me too. It's not just like he's fat or he's large. He is like, his mobility is impacted by how big he is.
Even if he is, you don't have to describe it that way.
No, I was about to say that. And it's not even that the narration describes it that way, because it does, and it is so disgusted with him. It's that everyone else is also disgusted by it. Like, he is disgusted by himself. He can feel his host's disgust. He can feel his butler's disgust. Everyone else is waiting to laugh at him. It's just bizarre.
Can I be devil's advocate in this situation? I listened to this book at 2 times speed, but I feel like if I could have reread it, I would feel more confident in me saying this, to know for sure. If there was a particular reason why he was being portrayed this way, I would totally ride with it, because there are certain things that this author obviously wants to get through viscerally as he switches through bodies.
Why were the old people not described as like pockmarked and disgusting? Like, it just they were. No, they weren't.
No.
Dance was just described as old and slow. Dance, the third to last host, Dance.
It said his wrinkles like drooped so far and so horribly.
It was nowhere close to Ravencourt's level of disgust.
One thing I will say about the descriptions is that, yes, this book does tend to have somewhat exaggerated descriptions for things. Like we said, like, you know, the twigs were so whatever, they couldn't whatever, right? Like, there is an aspect to which certain things are exaggerated a little bit. But even grading on that curve, again, the descriptions are so disgusting. And it's not even just that they're disgusting, it's that the narration thinks they're disgusting. It's not like Ravencourt is the one who feels this way, but, you know, everybody else is actually like, oh, he's pretty chill. Or, like, his butler thinks he's gross, but he's actually pretty content with his size. Like, it's just everyone thinks he's super bad, and, yeah.
It absolutely should be and is limitations to all of the characters. Dance moves really flippin' slow. He's an older guy. He gets tired quick. He falls asleep.
He's too stubborn to have glasses, so he can't see anything.
But it is not described at all to the level that it is with Ravencourt. And all you needed was to express that because he was bigger, he was hard to move, and that was the limitation. That is it. Why did we have to get him eating? Because here's the thing. If there was, Shelby said that there was a 7 Deadly Sins parallel, which outside of him as gluttony, I did not pick up that much. You can, in retrospect, look at it, but, like, the grease dripping down his face as he ate, like, and I think it was Ice Willow said, this rich man who has grown up wealthy would have had better table manners, especially if he has shame about his eating. Like, it just...
Sit up, sir. Have good manners for the people.
I think the way this could have worked better is if you exercise all of the shameness of it. But he's like a large man who is morbidly obese, and Adrian starts the day being like, man, my mobility is really impacted, this sucks. And then by the end of the day is like, you know what, my mobility is impacted, but he was really smart. I need to start thinking of my hosts as tools. Like, because Ravencourt is shown to be very smart and very calculating, and there is a little bit of that towards the end of the book. He's every once in a while like, man, I wish I had Ravencourt's mind. But there is such a judgment on how terrible Ravencourt is that I found it so uncomfortable to read.
When he's in Ravencourt's body, you do not appreciate Ravencourt's mind at all. He is so focused. If there had been a specific reason why, like Katie was saying, I could have rolled with it. I didn't see one, and it made me very uncomfortable.
The thing is, there's no bias for Adrian because Adrian has no prior beliefs. That's part of the problem.
It feels fat-phobic, that's it. It feels fat-phobic and fat-shamey. So like Icewallow said, and she's mentioned a couple times in the chat that you'll see on screen, that she also is bigger. And she said, like, I'm so careful when eating around other people, and most fat people are. Living a fat body isn't horrible, though. It's not like horror unless the author thinks being fat is the worst thing ever. The author is not doing anything to enhance the story besides it feeling like he's fat-phobic. Jesse said, the scene with the mountain of eggs just feels a bit like how everyone who comments on my weight seems to think I eat. It made me so uncomfortable to read, and there wasn't like a payoff for it.
There are ways that he could have used this in a much more nuanced way. So, like, for example, maybe, like, so I do intermittent fasting right now, and one of the things I found about that is that it makes me a lot less dependent on food for my mood, in terms of, like, I don't need to eat to then feel good, and it also cut down on my, like, just snacking just to feel good. And so I would have liked something where maybe he, like, you know, in Ravencourt's body, he eats and then he feels, like, a little bit better or something. That would have felt a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more like, my host has different stats than other hosts, but not necessarily that it is gross.
I like that alternate route.
To comment on the lack of mobility being an issue for what he thinks he's trying to do on that day, that's fine. Dance has mobility issues. It is commented upon. It's fine to note those differences. Again, as you can tell, we've spent this much time talking about it. We're gonna close the chapter on this and just say, no, bad. Do better next time, buddy.
Well, where was your editor?
Where was your editor? But anyway, so when he wakes up in Ravencourt's body, he realizes, nah, I gotta play this game. I can't escape.